that was, for the most part, that's the main thing as far as insulting fans' intelligence. But my other here tonight is going to be a controversial one because I'm going to talk bad about The Rock and everyone's going to hop on my dick for it. And I'm prepared for it already. But I still need to say this, and it is a huge problem in my opinion. And I feel like not enough people are going to be talking about this. So I need to be that voice who is going to overlook the fact that it was The Rock and see through what actually happened in this segment. All right?
Go for it, man. This is your time.
I had two problems with this segment. First of all, The Rock objectifying Lana. Talking about how she is gorgeous and hot and talking about how she's walking around like a Russian streetwalker or something like that. Like, basically turning her into a thing rather than a person. I hate it. Granted, I've been guilty of this in the past, so I'm not going to try and act like I'm up on my high horse and that I've never done it before. But on that same note, I don't get paid to be on television. I don't get paid to share my opinion. I don't get, it's not my job to be politically correct. And for The Rock and for people like The Rock and JBL and Jerry Lawler and all these guys, it's disgusting when you portray your women in the way that the WWE has. And now all of a sudden Lana's a part of it. And you would think managers should, I guess with divas, they are already kind of subjecting themselves to objectification by calling themselves divas in the first place. But with a manager, I feel like that's just different. With a manager, you need to treat them with more respect, with more dignity. You need to be more sensitive about subjects like this when it comes to managers. And I would even say valets. Like, if anybody would have treated Liz like this, Macho Man would have been on them like that. But on top of the fact that The Rock objectified Lana, he also humanized Rusev. And to me, that is another huge problem that the WWE should not have allowed to happen. Dude, let me put it this way. I absolutely loved The Rock's promo tonight. I dug it. It was great. I like that he pointed out, we don't boo you because you represent Russia. We boo you because you're a couple of a-holes. That was great. But then when he basically punked Rusev out and tossed him out of the ring like he was nothing, I've got a problem with that. Because Rusev right now, I mean, even if you want to go back to my win-loss records, he has the best win-loss record through September. Obviously, now we're in October, but he hasn't wrestled a match in October, so you can't even count that. But as of September, he has the best win-loss record of any heel. So what you're basically saying is, I don't care how good any heel gets. None of them will ever be good enough to stand up to The Rock at this point. It's really sad, really pathetic, and I don't know if the WWE realizes what they're doing, but if they don't, they need to, and if they do, then they need to be fired, whoever thought that this was an okay thing to do.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag for me, because like you, I really dug what The Rock did out there. I mean, he instantly elevated the energy, elevated the excitement, just everything.
And that's another thing, because here's my thing. I don't have a problem with The Rock. I don't. I mean, I feel like I'm the only person that calls him out on some of the crap that he does, on some of the negative things that he does, and everybody else just says, oh, he's The Rock, that's what he does, and they forgive him like it's not even a big deal, or they don't think he did anything wrong in the first place. Whereas I say, The Rock is great, but The Rock can do good things, but The Rock can be great, but I have that but attached at the end because he isn't perfect. He isn't God. He isn't the best mic worker of all time. He isn't somehow immune to the rules of wrestling. He's great. He's the great one, but that doesn't make him the one. That doesn't make him the guy who is all of a sudden above the business. Nobody is bigger than the business, and Vince and Triple H have said that multiple times, but if you would show them that promo and then show them a picture of John Cena or The Rock, they would probably have a brain explosion because they don't know what to do.
Right. And for me, first starting off with your objections to his comments about Lana, I do agree with you, and also to kind of extend to those criticisms, I think it's bad, or has the potential to be bad. I think, to really be as precise as possible, because The Rock, with the way he carries himself and what he does, I think there's a natural charm and likability that accompanies that. So when you see like all the little boys and the dads and like all that stuff like watching The Rock, sometimes I wonder if they'd ever get it in their head that it's okay to talk to women that way because he did it and everybody's just having a good laugh. So you never really know. It's kind of like not earlier in the year, but when he was feuding with John Cena, and like he made the connection, like I was a good guy, I was a babyface, and he broke the fourth wall, and kids are watching that. So if Rock has the power to ruin the illusion, so to speak, I think he has the power to influence like what these fans really experience and think and feel. I mean, that is kind of what this business is all about: is manipulating emotions, manipulating just all that stuff. So you gotta wonder if like a little boy's looking at that and be like, that's awesome, and then he gets in his head like, I'll talk to my girl at school like that, tomorrow or something. So that's something that was in the back of my mind. Plus, it's just not right. Like Lana's character, is she supposed to be this strong, I guess like imposing figure because of the nation she represents? Again, it's that imagery that they're creating. And I think what makes it even worse, you compound it with your second point, Ashton, the fact that Rusev was humanized. The idea even that he didn't pounce on The Rock immediately when like the words came out of his mouth, like, oh, you're just smoking hot. Like from the word go, Rusev should have been on The Rock. But instead he stands there and he takes it alongside her, and then when it does come time for confrontation, The Rock sends him out of the ring. It just makes these guys look like they can't take care of business when it needs to be taken care of.
I think that my biggest problem is this idea that The Rock is bigger than the business. And it's not even just an idea that's perpetuated by the WWE, which it most definitely is. It's also an idea that gets perpetuated by the fans, the people that will defend The Rock at any and all signs of problem or negativity. It's The Rock can do no wrong, and in reality he can, and tonight he did, and he has in the past, and he's not going to just never do wrong. But there are a lot of people that, again, have this idea in their head that he's bigger than the business just because he's a Hollywood actor, but he just isn't.
Right. It's just one of those things. Again, I had fun with them, sure, but I think, especially just knowing that Rusev did not maul The Rock, because another thing is too, and that's another problem. You could say, well, Big Show got the upper hand on Rusev at one point, and Mark Henry and Swagger, but I just feel like it's different for those guys because they're bigger dudes. They've got those kinds of backgrounds where I could believe even Swagger because he had to pick Rusev apart. He had to single out his ankle. What did Rock do to neutralize Rusev? It was just a bunch of right hands that sent him out to the floor. That was it. I feel like Rusev realistically should have been able to squash The Rock, really just put him down. And yet The Rock gets the upper hand. To me now, his win-loss record, or the idea that he's never been pinned or submitted, it doesn't necessarily mean nothing, because I think then you kind of go into absurd territory, at least in my opinion, but it certainly means significantly less knowing that The Rock was able to get a leg up on Rusev, because it says, hey, if he can do it, maybe I can too, and it kind of takes away some of that intimidation factor for me.
Yeah, so. Exactly. I mean, they've already been kind of humanizing Rusev recently with the Big Show, and it's been annoying me. And now all of a sudden they bring out The Rock, who just straight up gets the upper hand, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back.
I mean, to me, this is why WWE, I think, we were talking, I think it's been a recent theme the past few weeks for us, Ashton, about missed opportunities or things they could have done better. And to me, yeah, it would have been fine if you had The Rock get a little bit of offense, but then have him eat a super kick to the face. Have him pass out to the Accolade. Do that for the guy. Because then, you can say, oh man, Rusev took The Rock out. And the guy is a behemoth. I mean, I've said it multiple times. If you look at the guy, he does look imposing. He does look intimidating. And then imagine, kayfabe-wise, when it's like, oh, he took The Rock out, nobody would want to step up to Rusev. And that's how a heel like him, more specifically, should be. A guy that nobody
Maybe they're trying to cool him off because they don't want people to get under the impression that he could be the guy to face Lesnar.
maybe.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm perfectly willing to admit that, but I just don't understand how the WWE could possibly justify doing what they did tonight with him.
Especially considering that I've been feeling quite the opposite in the sense of I felt like they were grooming Rusev for something potentially huge, giving him the main event segment with Mark Henry a few weeks back on a Raw, and then even tonight to a degree, even allowing him to share the same ring as The Rock. You know, The Rock doesn't share a ring with just anybody. It's usually some kind of act that would kind of fit like a hand in the glove with his personality or whatever, or if they're going to do some kind of program. Here, of course, it was the former. Rock just wanted to play off of Rusev and defend his country. But I think even the fact that Rusev got to have this moment is a deal to be made of. But what transpired, I think, just made the whole thing kind of lose momentum. Because how cool would it have been? Rock does his trash talk fine. Gets the win on the mic, obviously. I mean, everybody knew that going into it. Maybe gets that spit punch. The right hand's leading up into that. But then again, eats a super kick, locks in the accolade, and leaves the crowd stunned. And leaves Michael Cole saying, like, wow, The Rock came, wanted to have fun with the WWE Universe, but Rusev's the one laughing last. Or something like that. And instead, no, The Rock comes in, pretty much waltzes in as a surprise, and, takes over. It's like takes back his yard for that brief moment. It just doesn't sit right with me. People have been complaining lately, at least that I've seen, like on Tweetop and other places, of the old guard, and how excited they are for the new guard at NXT, and these talents really coming to their own on Raw. Ziggler is IC champion, Cesaro is the Swiss Superman, and Rusev as well. And it's like, well, what do you call The Rock? Because The Rock, to me, is as old guard as it comes. I mean, he came from a whole different era. So, I've got my gripes about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that I've gotten my biggest gripes of this show off my chest. So if you would like to go ahead and move on, I am okay with that.